It's 6 o'clock, Monday, March 16th, 2020. We'll call the Dunbar Finance Committee to order. Our first item on the agenda is minutes from March the 2nd, 2020. So you've got your minutes from March the 2nd, 2020. Any questions, corrections, or comments on the minutes from March the 2nd, 2020 Finance Committee? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve minutes from March the 2nd.
Go ahead, you read it.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from March 2nd Finance Committee meeting.
We have a motion for the minutes to be approved. We have a second.
A second.
Second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, we'll drop down our invoices next for this period, which does include our P cards. It totals $263,363.21. That also includes 3 invoices down below under new business. We'll look at those individually, but they're included in this total as well. So you've got $263,363.21. You've had time to look those over, but we'll start with Jim Hughes for any questions or comments on the invoices all the way through the P cards.
Well, in the month, the first month, we did have insurances, pensions, lawsuits, which is pretty good shape. They total a lot of money, but no, I don't really have anything.
Okay. That's one question for County Clerk. I think I see this each year, but just refresh me on the 2019 Affordable Care Act support, $1,500 on page 5. Is that just an annual?
Yeah, because we have to issue that healthcare type thing, and that's there again, that's all got to be submitted to the government.
Okay.
And that's done through our COMAX, which is our, not COMAX.
Profile.
Yeah, that's our computer.
It's a franchise fee on the computer program for the annual update for the issuing the
No,
Okay.
report.
Okay, so it's actually a software expense to meet
Yes.
the Affordable Care Act requirements.
Yes.
Okay.
and then they send it to government, that, you know.
Because I didn't think there was a fee just to be a part of choosing the doctor. You
No,
can
it's
choose all.
it's the software that
Okay.
submit it and all that.
Okay. Fireman, on page 7 and 9, 2 invoices will go to your account for $2,318.29. And that's again some of those delinquency fees that have come in. And later, when we get to the clerk's report, show the total in your account as well, as it's starting to grow. Page 1 of 1 later, those were new meter fees, correct, Mayor? What's the meter fees on those $200-$300 from Western America?
That's the tabs that we agreed we put in. The county agreed to waive the utility payment, the utility bills each month if we went ahead and paid for the separation of the utilities and put them in our name. So that'll be very beneficial financially for the next couple of years.
And on page 1 of 2, near the end, right for the P cards, fireman again, your all's pension as well. This is our first payment from municipal fees, $55,846.69. And clerk, that's going to their BB&T account, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other one I mentioned goes into your West Virginia account that we're just building in. This goes in as an extra payment into your BB&T for the monthly distribution. So that's all I had. P cards look fine to me. Okay. Any other questions on the invoices from any other council members? Again, it's a large number, but as Jim Hughes mentioned, there's several end of the month items and other things in there.
You said that the Little League was in those invoices.
No, there's 3 invoices we'll look at later under new business meeting for the insurance and the lawsuit.
Just one, well, I was just looking, there's only,
Yeah, no, there's no Little League in here.
no, that's one of them that's underneath there.
Correct, yeah, but I'm referring
There's only
to,
2 that's got a dollar amount.
I'm referring to C.
Right. 1. You threw me when you said 3.
We're paying 1 vendor, so there's 3 invoices. We're all clear now? Okay. We'll come to that in C. Any other questions? Motion to approve, send to the full council. Motion to send to full council for approval, $263,363.21.
I make a motion, we send $263,363.21 to council for approval.
There's a second.
Second.
Or any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. We'll drop down to new business. Our first item is approval of 2020-2021 budget. And the clerk, thank you, Connie, for getting those to us last week, so we've had plenty of time to review them. We'll go over, there's just a few changes. They are significant, but they are few in number, so it should take us for just a few minutes. Everybody has their budget. We'll start on the income side. That's where there are a few changes. On the expense side, there's really only two changes. Everybody ready? Get your paper and stuff. On the income side, the only changes on the revenue side, first is the projection for property tax and then the excess levy tax. At the last rough draft we had for our last meeting, the property taxes was estimated at $1,110,000. When it was finally calculated by the county, sent us their information, Brian put it in, it comes out now to $1,005,728. And so that's a reduction of $104,272. And then just below that, in our excess levy tax, the estimate we worked from last was $655,000. And the actual calculation now is $513,127, a reduction of $141,873. That total reduction is $246,145. So it's only two in number, but significant. And I think, Connie, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but it looks like the formula from the spreadsheet automatically took what we've received so far this year and doubled it.
Yes.
And which was an overestimate because taxes aren't all paid evenly throughout the year. Okay. So that affects us a pretty good bit. So we'd figured before we would need a rollover of $153,705 to balance the budget. With those changes, we must carry over from this year $382,850, which is an increase of rollover of $229,145. So that's a pretty good change. But Mayor, you and I talked with, we appear to be on track for that, though, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, again, that's a pretty good adjustment, but thank each department head for working to keep your costs down and to keep that there. And then that's reflected down below in your revenue side. It was 7.2 million. Now it's just below 7 in that adjustment. And then you look at the new budget. We'll get to that in just quickly, but the new budget is reflective of an increase of a decrease of 17,000 in there. And if you've had a chance to look over, the two adjustments were a reduction in the liability insurance from 1.2 million to 1.18. So that's a reduction or $1,180,000, a reduction of $20,000 in there to help on that shortfall. And then an addition of 3,000 over, I forget which page that's on. It's an addition near the library for Little League. We talked about the last meeting. It's number 907 on page 8 of 10, an increase of 3,000 there based on what we talked about at the last meeting. So those are the only adjustments. I haven't missed anything. Have a mayor or clerk in that? Just the adjustments. Okay, so we had a couple adjustments, few in number, big in numbers on revenue, and then there's two adjustments in the expenses, and the one we had recommended, the other was just to help on a shortfall. So we'll take a few minutes for any questions about these. Jim, do you have any questions?
Yes, sir,
To any other council members, again, this is essentially our final draft if we approve it here to send for all of us to vote on.
I just got a general question. I thought the agreement was at the last finance meeting that you was not to put a line item in for Little League. I thought you were just going to grant the money as requested.
That it was a gentleman's agreement we had, and we've got it on, as you know, it's commented, it's on the.
Yeah,
agenda.
I put it in there, I can take it out and have it printed back for you guys if you want to take it out.
Well, the only problem I have with that is, I have no problem giving it to them, no misunderstanding. But what happens if you have Major League Football show up? Or Pity League basketball? Now, you gonna put a line item in for all of these guys, or?
As you see, Mike, that is called the, under the state codes, that's called the youth program, so, I mean, yes, if you,
Well, I know, but I mean,
or you can leave,
you got three for baseball,
right,
where you gonna get football? You'll get
right.
them three?
Oh, I agree with you.
You know, so,
I mean,
I'm just
we can take it
asking.
out and take the 3,000 off of, the carryover, it's, you know, I can change that for people in the next meeting and reprint it, you guys.
The other input?
Whatever y'all want to do.
I like baseball.
what about basketball?
Yeah, oh, I like
For the
basketball.
basketball, I think we all pretty much give them, reduce the rent, give the basketball a lot of stuff too.
They just quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
If they come to us, then we'll address it at that time.
Another question then with that,
Or we can change that and just leave it 3,000 and leave it.
usually, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, if we leave it, we may want to rephrase it though, so that it's up,
Yes,
it's up for anybody's consideration next year.
I can reword that and say contributions to youth programs
That's not,
and take out Little League.
that sounds good. Did they come last week?
No.
Okay. Don't ask, don't
Well, you
tell.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they're prepared, we need to be prepared for it, we do.
I think we look at the Little League because they use our fields.
Right.
Where the football doesn't use our fields.
And then they,
Because they're maintaining the fields and our property.
and Little League's been more bold to ask.
Is they gonna practice football when they get done?
It's semi-pro team shoots in there whenever anybody else is not there.
And they usually do down Shawnee.
That's where they've been playing all the stuff like last year.
Yeah, they'll use like the front of Shawnee or Samantha, and then we'll let them go over and practice on the turf at times.
So is there,
I will change that.
And we don't charge them nothing for practicing out there on that field.
so if everybody's comfortable then with that, the only adjustment would be to change the title from itemizing specifically Little League to youth programs, and then each league would have a shot at coming and presenting what they would like. But with that in mind, any other questions, or do we have a motion to approve the budget and send to full council as presented by the mayor and clerk tonight with those edits?
I make a motion to send to full council the approval of the 2020 to 2021 budget to go to full council, presented from the mayor and the clerk.
Do we have a second?
I have a second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. And the next one is for this year. We had agreed at the last meeting to have on the agenda 3,000 for the Little League out of coal severance. That's a one-time thing. Coal severance is traditionally used for one-time events, one-time expenses, so we have that, and that was requested. So any discussion, again, this is, as they mentioned, was what we did request last time.
Bills are correct, we want to do something with the field, dirt or something.
They've already put the dirt down. This is to work on what used to be the big league or senior field down behind Bingo to get it functional and operational. To get the sewer, restrooms working and stuff down there so they can use that as facility. Because these kids will be moving out of Little League pretty soon and be going into bigger league.
I haven't heard, just on a practical note, did they have to cancel their season or
They
this?
pushed it back, I think,
I don't know.
to 7th or something.
The last time I heard, we supposed to had practice yesterday, but I didn't go to it.
They stopped everything till April 7th.
Okay.
Something like that.
I know that's no bearing on the money, but I was just curious. what they were doing.
They push everything back to April. They're supposed to have parent meetings and practices and alcohol. From what I understand, it's pushed all back to April 7th. Contingent on April 7th.
With that, again, this is just a reflection of what we talked about in the last meeting. So if there's no other discussion, we have a motion to approve a grant to the Dunbar Little League one-time agricultural severance for $3,000.
I make a motion to approve the grant, for Dunbar Little League, for the amount of $3,000 for the field improvements. To get another cold severance tax.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. And then letter C, approval to pay One Beacon Insurance Group $5,492.42 for the deductible on 3 lawsuits. And I apologize for my not being clear. That's the one that was in the invoices before. And if you went through your invoices, there's 3 that total that 5,000. Anything, Mayor, we need to know about? Or is there any idea when these will run out and get to 25,000?
I think there's one that's close to closing out.
Ms. Smith, yes.
Well, don't mention it by name.
Ms. Smith.
The first one on the list,
Okay.
is, I think, getting close to, closing out, but if you look along the numbers, it's about maxed out on, the deductible of 25,000. So, then the other 2, are fluid, so not really sure, what other action is going to come forth on those.
Any other questions? And again, we're limited on any discussion since it is lawsuit involves names. So anything on the finances, any questions? We have a motion to approve paying this towards our deductible. Again, each lawsuit, our deductible is 25,000, and this goes towards 3 of those. So we have a motion to pay this.
I make a motion to approve, pay One Beacon Insurance Group $5,492.42 for the deductible on 3 lawsuits.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. D, approval to sign the title to a 2014 Ford Interceptor indent, back over to indent. Police chief, we've seen the title, but just fill us in a little more about the situation.
That's a vehicle the city did not buy. MDN as an entity cannot own property, so they kind of put the city of Dunbar, City Charleston, St. Albans on the property that they bring in. That was registered to us. Like, again, we did not buy that vehicle. It's titled to us, but we insure it. So right now it's currently being used in Marshall County. It's kind of, the liability is on us, and we don't get any use out of it.
So it's not one we're using daily in our fleet.
It's never been in Dunbar.
Never been that hard.
Yeah, it's in Marshall County.
Because
Probably really shouldn't even say it's in Marshall County.
It's somewhere out
Now that we
there.
said it 6 times.
Yeah, we won't describe it.
Outside of city limits.
it was bought because we had somebody in the indent program.
And that doesn't reflect on that. If we put someone in MDN tomorrow or a year from now, they bought a vehicle, they would just do the same process.
Any other questions for anybody again with that understanding? It's not removing one of our cars, because we're short another one after a wreck last week. So it's not affecting our police fleet. Any questions? We have a motion then to sign this title back over to MDNs, which would again remove it from our insurance and liability issues.
I make a motion to approve to sign the title to the 2014 Ford Interceptor back to India.
We have a motion. You have a motion, sorry. Do we have a second? Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, and item E, approval for bids for asbestos removal at 215 West Virginia Avenue. I think the mayor and the building inspector had some information to share with us.
No, I sent out a notice to recommend tabling that. The bids, we only got one bid, and it was extremely high for what it was, so we need to, rather than to expose the bid and so forth, we want to table action on that, regroup, and see what we're going to do relative to getting those tests done and the asbestos abated.
So you've heard the mayor's recommendation to table this until we can at least get a second or third bid. It's more reasonable as well.
I make a motion that we, table the asbestos bid until we get another couple bids on it.
We have a second for that?
Second,
Okay. We have a motion and a second to table this.
sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
I
Greg.
just got a question. Is that the company we normally use to give us that bid?
It's one of them, yeah, okay, one of them, it's one of the asbestos abatement companies that we found. We found out there was a state contract in asbestos. bid.
Oh.
So we get over them and see what they do, or if this company. It was just way high.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second to table this. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Clerk has several things for us. We have first our short budget. Second, get that out. As clerk mentioned, should be at 66% at the end of February. So, clerk, anything you want to highlight on the short budget?
No. I think everything is looking pretty good.
Everything looks the same essentially as last month on the same trajectory. Police judge slightly high, we addressed that. Buildings and grounds, of course, that's seasonal. Police is in check on their total, and the fire is up because of the pension adjustment in the equipment, but the salaries are in check. Street construction is up, that's seasonal. Hugh, on the MS-14 job, we've got 24,000 and change left in that. Any news on the dirt cost to remove that? Or Scott, I mean, which, I'm not sure which one.
You'll need to answer it, you.
We have to do more testing now for DEP.
Okay.
So they weren't satisfied. We've got truckers lined up, and we're just waiting on somebody to say, go ahead and move the dirt. So as soon as we get these next round of tests done, those new will be the mines, we can get that ugly stuff out.
Where's it gonna go to?
Sycamore.
Well, one of the waste management out that way, yeah, I heard it. So there must be some chemical that DEP saw in there that they wanted tested or whatever.
It's, Matt and Bernie are checking it. It's possible that they ran those when they did the other bank of testing, so they're in touch with them to see if they do have those test results. If not, we'll have to pull a sample and let them run those again, so.
And we had to pay for those samples every time they do.
Yep. I mean, the waste management gave us a list of protocols, what they wanted tested for, and that's what we tested for. They accepted it, they turned it into DEP, and DEP came back and said, we want this, and this, which is more than what waste management had asked for. So,
Do you have any idea, Hugh, if the amount we've got left in that budget item will be enough to cover the transport and disposal?
Will we have 24,000?
24, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we got a pretty good deal with the trackers, they're just waiting on their months.
Okay. Any other comments about the short budget the clerk has for us?
Yeah, I've only got one comment that, that's, we have no idea what the virus is going to have as an impact on our revenue coming into the city. So we're going to have, for the next month or so, we're going to have to be limited on any purchases we make, just to keep it to necessary items and items that we need to actually function, not wish list things until we get everything honed in and see how this is going to reach into our pocket as it develops.
Not to add more sobering thoughts to what the mayor said, but this will affect us at least for 12 to 18 months down the road as well. because even once we get through the worst part, it takes a long time for everything to catch back up and the revenues start coming back in. So you're correct, we're in for a really bad time short and not much fun in the long haul. So whoever handles next year's budget is going to have a headache also.
You know, one of the things that we have to think about from the city, and we've got funds set aside right now, I mean, if it goes to a total shutdown, people are not going to be coming in and paying their municipal fees. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Even if we have the drop box, they're not going to come out and drop them. So it's going to take, we're going to have to be kind of looking into our reserves and making sure we meet our operating costs. We still have to pick up garbage and make payroll and pay dumping fees and so forth like that. So, we just need to keep an eye on it and be conservative about what we're doing until we see whether we're out from underneath of it, and then we can go back to business as normal and getting things caught up and taken care of.
Councilor, so you had your hand up.
Well, for example, PSC just does, you can't do it cut off on water. So if somebody doesn't pay their sewer bill, you can't do anything.
Yes, that's already, that decision's already been made.
Right. I mean, I just adding to what you're saying, of the revenue stream may lower in a lot of it. I guess we don't know about.
And the sanitary board's in a lot worse shape than what the city is with litigation they got involved with the last project and some of the issues with non-payment from West Dunbar. So, we're just now starting to climb out to where we're positive and have a little bit of money come, it's moving in a positive direction back the way it should, but, 2 or 3 month hit of making a $200,000 a month expenses and having a $220,000 buffer in your in your account, you can see it's not going to take very long.
No, I think there's going to be a lot of unintended consequences that are difficult to foresee at this point.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
There's going to be a lot of unintended consequences that are not easy to foresee at this point. For example, I know the dentist down the street from me is shut down because she can't get the mask respirators, and those masks the doctors wear do not keep out the virus. And they're staring down someone's throat for 8 hours a day. So, not that that's a huge input to the B&O, but I'm just saying just a little unintended consequences.
It's a good thing the grocery stores are way up.
They are bad.
That doesn't help us on
But it's gonna catch up and fall down because where everybody went out and bought.
Eventually, you won't need toilet paper again for a year.
Yep.
We'll go to your West Virginia statement of accounts. The clerk has those for us. And, if you look at the first one, it's an increase of $15,349.57. And these are all increases this month. The next one is the increase with our interest of just under $650. Well, that last one, 219,000 was some interest of $321. And then the last one is the fire. And fireman is showing coming into the night $68,531.49. And as we shared, clerk will be sending $2,318.29 to it, which will bring it to $70,841.78. And again, that's just from collections, things outstanding municipal fees. And it's the B&Os too, and
Yep.
they can find not Comax, that's copy, Datamax.
Datamax. Anyway,
Anything about the statement of accounts, comments?
no,
Highlight. You've got a revenue expense sheet. Again, this is through February, and again, as the mayor mentioned, this may begin to adjust, but up to the present, revenue had been $4,724,063.98. Our expenses year to date is 4.5 million, so we're, have a surplus of $222,975.58. And again, our next year's budget requires a pretty good rollover to balance it with the adjustments tonight in the projected income. And then also, as we mentioned, we don't know what the future holds. So anything else about the revenues? Expenses? And then you gave us a couple things a few minutes ago.
To give you the cash balance in the bank statement.
Okay. So you got your bank statement. I haven't had a chance to look through anything you want to highlight on that.
Yeah, we just got the bank statement, we just got in our taxes, which was a big month. They don't bring that up, that's for sure.
You know, your scheduled cash balances. Shows the expenses of $415,000 in the revenue. So February, your expenses were higher than your revenue. As the clerk mentioned, taxes come in different shifts. So we got some property taxes coming in.
Yep.
So help out in March.
Yeah, that brought that was 300. So that's where we brought that up.
Any questions for the clerk on the cash balances or any of the other short budget, or we've covered short budget investments, revenue expense, bank accounts, anything? Any other council members have questions for the clerk? Thank you, Connie, for having all that ready for us. We don't have any other old business, and again, we've got our budget ready for approval tonight to send to the state. Mayor, are you wanting to use the time for any discussion about our city for this issue, or do you want to wait for full council to have that discussion? What are you looking at, since we've got some time?
I mean, we can go ahead and discuss it. Had a conference call with the health departments this morning, all the mayors and throughout the valley, and during the conference call, they started downloading information. One of the things is, I passed down a copy to you, is the coronavirus 19 protocol for policemen, and the chief, I think, had already gotten that previously, but anyway, I gave it to him this evening. Also, we got a download of a manual from CDC on emergency infectious disease playbook. This is for emergency responders. So I gave the chief a copy of this morning. Also, it's 80-some pages, so I didn't make everybody a copy of it. You're welcome to it if you want. We can do that. So the health department this morning reported that there have been 41 cases tested in the Kanawha Valley. 38 of them came back negative. 3 of them are still pending. And some of the question out there is why so few people are being tested. And the reality of it is they're testing people that are showing symptoms, just not people coming in and saying, I want to be tested. So I think the recommendation they had this morning was, if everybody restricts their social contact and separation. We're blessed right now. There's not a lot of symptomatic people out there that we're aware of. That's not to say they're not there, but they will be responding. They do have tests available as people come in, and if you think you've been exposed, you need self-quarantine until you become symptomatic. And then at that point, contact them about being tested. And there again, it's, I guess the notice now is people 60 and older, and people with respiratory issues or other at-risk people are the ones that are going to be given, priority treatment. But just to rush out and get a test is they're gonna make sure that you have some symptoms before they start running tests on people.
Question, in general, I'm not questioning you, just question for us as a city with our planning. As we got the memo from the mayor, has here what CDC recommended social gatherings 50 or less for 8 weeks, which would take us to May 11, from today till May 11. And then the governor reiterated that this afternoon in his discussion. If that were the case, we could work with that and come up with a plan of how to, so we can keep functioning. Rec center, all the different events, so we just limit it to 50 and port and all that. But the problem, the confusion now is, and this is what's causing the problem, there's no clear message, because since the federal government hasn't established clear guidelines, every governor has established his or her own guidelines. And it's confusing, and even today, Governor Justice did this with the CDC, where it would help us, okay, we got 8 weeks. If we just know the target, we can figure out something. But then 30 minutes later, the president recommended different than the CDC at 10. So does anybody, do you have, from that conference call, is there any clues, is the governor going to change tomorrow? So
It's,
they hint to anything?
They were kind of we got to see where the fire's coming from before we start reacting. And I think that's kind of one of the situations we're faced with. Are you going to shut down the entire economy, or are you going to wait and see where the priority needs are and then target and try to isolate the needs? But then again, if it's spreading the way they're saying it, by the time you detect it, it's going to be beyond those ranges anyway. But they kept concentrating on, if you don't need to be out and about, don't be out and about. And if you're out, try to maintain your social distance. And like I told Steve earlier, they tell you to cough into your elbow. Kids are told to do that their entire life.
Just check to see if you
Oh, my God.
Well, guess what? They're telling you to bump elbows. So you're bumping the most contaminated part of your body when you're, so I mean, who knows what the magic bullet is for this thing. But anything that you do to try to minimize contact with people and be respectful. I mean, if you are symptomatic, you need to quarantine yourself. You need to be respectful of other people. It may just be a cold, but you never know.
So the question for us then would be, it's not a vote, it's just discussion. Do we go with, until further notice, with the governor's recommendation, which means we would still, like we're going tonight, here, because it's less than 50 and keep going forward? And we just wait until, see if he changes it to match the president? Or do we just, therefore, just, keep an eye on how many's in your facility and those type of things? Or then do we instead, before that, go with the federal recommendation? Is that a recommendation or a guideline today? Because it's so confusing. The federal side speaks out of both sides of the mouth right now, so.
It was a recommendation.
Recommendation.
Yeah.
I would say we go with the people that we have on the ground here
Which would be
in
state
West
level.
Virginia, that are familiar with what's going on in our community, and concentrate on that, and just be ready to adjust to whatever comes out. If they say 20 people, then we adjust. We post signs and say 20 people. If it goes to 10, we go to 10. If it says everybody stays home,
This point in time, we can't take Easter.
State.
At this point in time, we'll be canceling the Easter egg.
I'm sorry?
That Easter egg hunt.
Just curious about the Easter egg. Well, I mean,
But again, that's 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
Do you wait closer to,
This said 8 weeks of podcast.
Right.
I had that conversation with somebody else today, and, we have everything ready to go. We can have an egg hunt after Easter. It doesn't have to be a pre-Easter egg hunt. It can be an egg hunt. I mean, when this thing's all over, the kids are gonna be looking for something to do. So, you know, let's just not wipe it out. Let's start planning and putting together, some things. The health department was talking about getting with the schools and getting some coloring books and literature to, things like that for kids to do, to stuff in the lunch bags that they're preparing for the carry-out kids for. So, you know, there's people thinking about what to do relative to providing some form of entertainment and stuff for the kids. So I just don't think we need to cancel the whole world. We may have to postpone a few things and rename them, restructure them, but not, you know, not just wipe it out completely.
I have not got the basket or the candy.
Well, wait.
That's why I was waiting.
Hey, wait a couple weeks, they're gonna be real cheap.
I know, that's not. I got the eggs done.
This evening at 4:45, the Secretary of State put out of his office, effective today until further notice, all West Virginia Secretary of State office throughout the state will not serve walk-in business or licensing customers. All this service can be completed online or by paper. And then they're saying they have drop-off boxes. I mean, they listed all those drop-off boxes. So that was put out at 4:45 this evening.
They also said if your driver's license or registration expired, that supposedly will be continued until after the quarantine day.
They actually just discontinued all Supreme Court cases too.
How was all the school stuff there today? About $15 kids and everybody here?
Marty went and got Jared and Olivia stuff today, no problem.
They're all pretty
In
good.
school,
They're not delivering a whole lot of them.
They were taking them to the bus stops, but I think Marty went and picked it up at the school because my kids go to two different schools. Well, one's homeschool, but she's still a member there, but I think they let her pick both of them up at the primary school.
They dropped at the bus stop because I've been in communication with principals, and then it was a learning process today. A real learning process, so.
But the only thing, and I've tried to get a hold of, you know, because of the 50 people or less, I've tried to get a hold of Josh today, but wrestling, he didn't answer. Because wrestling is coming up in 2 weeks, and they're gonna have a lot more than 50. Because he called me last week wanting to know, you know, does he need to quit promoting it or whatever, so I'm still trying to get a hold of him. Beth with the KOTC, they have a dog show coming up in, the week. Well, the same week we will have the Easter egg time. They're talking to their board tonight to see if they're gonna cancel it, because they're gonna at least have 50 entries in there. And then Sierra and I talked today about to meet the candidate and just getting with her. First I took it off, and then she told me to hold off on it, so.
And why Carol will be here in a little bit to discuss that with you guys during the council meeting.
That's the only things that I got coming up, you know, for that. Like I said, we only had, 2 kids come in first thing this morning, 1 kid coming in the afternoon, and then 2 kids came in right before I left. But right now, I still have, several rentals during the week for like AAUs that are paid, which they probably only have about, you know, 10 to maybe 20 kids at. Plus the, you know, the parents or whatever, so it's not that much until they see what the guidelines are gonna be at.
I'll tell you how bad it is. My granddaughter's the head desk clerk at Marriott. Last night they had 11 rooms. Out of 400 and some, and we're told today that it doesn't pick up by Thursday, shut the Marriott.
Yeah, my son works for the embassy, and they are reducing staff hires there.
So at present, I think we're in agreement,
true, no traveling.
yeah, we're in agreement to,
No convention, they canceled the
Right.
boys basketball schedule, which is completely booked at Marriott.
Yeah.
Is there
I think one thing we need to kind of look at too is the city is our food pantry. I know it's been going good, and people are donating one to look like stuff at Aldi's and Kroger's. Their consumption's down in food, they're not gonna be giving a lot of it away anymore. We have a lot of people around here that donate a lot of money. I know Scott's crew has been helping out tremendously, trying to keep the shelves full over there, but tell me what, some of the people around here, we need to take care of too. And we get a lot of donations on that thing.
if someone in the city ends up with the coronavirus, do we have a plan on, will they have to use their sick leave, or do we have any kind of?
A city employee.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like, I'll just use all these as an example. At this point in time, if any of us contract coronavirus, they'll pay us for 2 weeks to stay home during that time. And or if we're exposed and expected to be quarantined, they're gonna pay us for 2 weeks to stay home.
Now, is that full-time or part-time?
That's any employee.
Okay, so that, because I got.
So I'm just asking, have we thought of a more?
We will, I would recommend we follow the federal guidelines, which is what everybody else is doing. And when all this is said and done, if we're upside down financially, we can get in line with everybody else and ask for reimbursement as a hardship under a FEMA grant. So, I don't think we want anybody going payrolls.
So we're in agreement at the present then for city activities to stay with the 50 or less for 8 weeks until that changes from the governor's side. Of course,
That it may
could be tomorrow.
change tomorrow.
Yep, that could be tomorrow. But as of tonight, that's where we stand. So,
How many of you stayed in today?
5.
Sorry.
And last week, before all this came out, I was having anywhere from 13 to 14 really in there, all day long.
That's pretty sorry, break too, huh?
Yeah.
we do need to be concerned because, again,
The only thing down there where kids can't play 6 foot apart from each other.
you can never eliminate risk. You can only manage risk.
A thing that came out today in the conference, and I sent Scott a notice in relative to people in contact with garbage or trash or anybody that's wearing gloves to protect yourself from the virus. You're to take those gloves off every 2 hours. And after you take them off, wash your hands thoroughly before you put your gloves back on. Because during a 2-hour period of time, if you're out active doing different things, you're very possibly going to come in contact with something. So you need to rotate your gloves as frequent as you think, and then wash your hands, because as you take the gloves off, you're going to be getting whatever contaminants on your gloves on your hands. So you need to wash your hands before you put the new pair of gloves on.
Scott,
Try not to touch your face, your nose, or anything. Just
But you don't have to worry about that. Put gloves on.
I'm where my mic is.
Scott, from the garage, do we provide PPEs for everything down there?
I went out today, I have gloves all the time. Always gloves. I went out today and bought a case of gloves. No one has hand sanitizer or hand wash stuff, so I bought a case of towelettes, which you can wipe your hands with, and Lysol. Spray it. So
the hand sanitizer doesn't work. It needs to be your chlorine and wipes.
that's what we got.
And so you know,
Hand sanitizer don't work.
Not strong enough. So that's
not strong enough.
That's what was bizarre. The shelves were empty, the sanitizer, the soap and water that does work was there.
If you go to your CERT class, you can mix your own chlorine-based sanitizer. Chief, how much?
It was 10 to 1. But some of the things I've been reading said 60% alcohol will kill, but I don't know.
That's what I'm doing. I thought sanitizer worked, but it's 60% alcohol.
Couldn't believe it. I mean, yeah, I can't speak out the same, depending on what you're watching.
But there again, you can, instead of buying a bunch of hand sanitizer, you can fix your own chlorine-based hand wash and save a ton of money.
Any other discussions? So we can wrap up and allow a break before the next meeting. We have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Thank you.